Right, hello again, or well, hello again. Yeah, so basically I haven't given up on the gun, just in case people were starting to think they weren't going to see any more videos about the gun. As you probably know, I'm a fairly busy person, and I've had to go to a few reenactment events dotted around my area, so I did take the gun along with me, but um, I'm having to go back and do a little bit of remedial work on the traverse of the gun. It's a little bit loose in there, so I need to do a few jobs to try and sort that out. But while I'm doing that, because I've been getting asked by a number of people to take measurements of the various parts of the gun, now it's almost complete, I thought I would take this opportunity while I'm starting to do strip down various parts. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to go and get the tripod, and I'll start sorting some measurements out for you. Okay, first things first. Let's have a measurement of the total width of the shield. Okay, that is 110 centimeters, 1.1 meters total width. Right, height of the shield at that point here, which is the highest point, that I have made it 53.5 centimeters, so 535 millimeters. Okay, now the width of the slot that the gun is mounted in, if I remember right, it's 16 centimeters. Yeah, 16 centimeters. So that's the width there to there. 16 centimeters, 160 millimeters. Okay, the height of the slot in the metal. Okay, this one not as quite as easy to measure. Let's see. I've got a. That is 33 centimeters, 330 millimeters high. Right, the length at that point there to there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to round it off to the point in the corner. So what I'll do is I'll put that rule across like that to make a corner, and I'll take a measurement like that, and that is 45 centimeters. 45 centimeters to that corner. Now the other end should in theory be the same. That's in theory, if I got my cutting right. Yeah, 45 centimeters. Okay, the distance from, let's see, I think this can still be seen in the camera. Just better check. Yes, it can. Right. The distance from this side here of the shield to this side of the gunnery aiming slot is 30 centimeters. That's 300 millimeters. Then the width of the slot is 2 inches, 50 millimeters. 50 millimeters, 5 centimeters, however you want to have it measured. Okay, so the height of that slot is 10 centimeters, 100 millimeters. So that's the shield. Pretty much taken care of. There's a few small measurements down at the bottom end which are fairly important, but I'll show you what that looks like when the shield is removed. Now, you're going to ask me also what the total length of the barrel is from the shield to the front. Now bear in mind, I've cheated on this. I've made my barrel shorter than it's supposed to be. So you're best looking at pictures of the real gun and working out that from you know, basic arithmetic by looking at the spec for the total length of the gun and then dividing the photograph by that total length and then working out the proportions. But just for the hell of it, I'm going to tell you that the barrel length on mine from the shield approximately is 120 centimeters. Now I'm going to take a measurement from the rear of the shield to the rear of the breech. That's the very back of the breech box which I've built. So that's shield to the back of the breech. That is 75 centimeters, 750 millimeters. Now, maybe some people want to know the width of the axle. This part between the hubs. Let's see, I might need to do some video movement on this. Move the camera back a little bit. Okay. Now let's see what I can work out for you. Extend my tape. And I'm going to stick that tape measure right up against the hub there. And back against the hub there. Right, that is 138.5 centimeters. So that's 1,385 millimeters. 1,385 millimeters to there. Yeah? I can't remember whether this is on autofocus. I think it is. Yes. Now, the hub units, I ordered them online. Now, I can't think what the name of the manufacturer of them is now. Probably I've said in an early video. Now I'll put the information about this on a bubble up on the video after the video is posted. I'll also put some links to the website in information that's against the video, so you'll be able to have a reasonable idea of what things you're looking for. Now, the wheels I've used on this are Land Rover wheels. These were purchased on eBay, second hand. They've got bar grip tyres which look correct for the World War II period, and they are a 16-inch steel rim. So that was the easy, cheap option, was to use Land Rover wheels. But if you're going to do this and you want it to look really good, you should go and buy some Jeep wheels, World War II period Jeep wheels, and get the hubs from the same company to fit the Jeep wheels. Now, they do a full range of PCD hubs, this particular company, and that's pitch circle diameter, for people who don't know. And so basically you can get a hub made for all the common sizes of wheel mounting. For instance, if I take the camera and we look at these Land Rover wheels, that's what they look like here, Land Rover wheels. Now if I spin the camera around, that there is a Jeep wheel. That is World War II pattern. And the PCD is different. Yeah, so you'll have to try and get wheels like that. Hodgkiss wheels will do, or World War II combat rims that you can split down and change the inner tubes yourself. You can do all that if you wish. As I say, if you buy the correct wheels, then when you're towing it with your Jeep, you're already carrying a spare wheel for the gun as well as a spare wheel for the Jeep. So you're killing two birds with one stone, aren't you? So I'm going to continue stripping this down, and I'll take some more pictures. Now, before I do that though, I suppose some measurements of things like the trails. You're probably wanting to know that as well. So, let's see what else I can give. Tell you what, while I'm still in the area here, let's take a measurement of this part here, which I tend to call the Gun Cradle. What its proper name is, I couldn't say. I'm not particularly a reference book on what gun parts are called, field gun parts particularly. Right, that is 70 centimeters long from the shield to there, but of course it extends back behind the shield, and it extends back from the shield to the breech a further 50 centimeters. So that is 120 centimeters long, that. And the way I constructed it was by cutting a piece of flat steel plate out which was, let's see if I can get a measurement. We'll say it's 11.5 centimeters wide. Okay. Sorry, not 11.5. Oh, yes, it is 11.5. It's a fraction under 11.5. It's about 11.3 centimeters wide, if you want to be pedantic. Now, then what I've done is I've used 2 pieces of angle iron, which is probably 1 inch angle. Yeah, it's 1 inch angle, 1 inch steel angle. Yeah, and I've welded that on the inside under here at intervals approximately, say, 6 inches apart all the way down the length, and I've done that on both sides so that this part here, which is probably a bit loose actually, yeah, see, it lifts up a little bit there, so that basically this part, this tube with this plate welded on, sits in on it. I thought the weld was breaking there, but it's just water. Yeah, so that's that. Now let's see what else. You probably want to know the width of that pipe again. That is just on 8 centimeters wide, the pipe I've used under there, and the total length of this pipe. Okay, from the shield again. From the shield, this pipe measures 75 centimeters in length. So basically that is 5 centimeters longer than the cradle part. See? Extra 5 centimeters. 5 centimeters, 50 millimeters. Okay, behind the shield, this pipe. Okay, well, let's be sensible. It finishes just in front of the breech. It finishes at the same point as that. So we said this was 120 centimeters long. So this is 125 centimeters long. Now the difference is, with this thing, it widens down there so that I can put a gas bottle in it. So if you look down there, you will notice that that point there becomes a larger tube which has been welded onto it. Now that is pretty much hidden by the shield and all the rest of the gubbins at that point, so you don't particularly notice that I've cheated, and that is where the gas bottle is going to sit inside. If I come around the back here, you can see that. As I previously mentioned, this tube here I believe would look better if it came all the way to the end of here, just in front of the breech box. Now I've just got this cover over it because it's been raining, as you can probably see. So that's where the breech starts there. Yeah, I've got about a centimetre gap between the breech and the rear of that, which is fine. Now, okay, these points here, I've not spent too much time worrying about the actual position I've welded that on. But if you want yours to look like the way mine is, which probably isn't accurate, but it's good enough for me. What I've done is I've mounted that 11 centimeters from the rear here, and the steel which I've used in that is 6 centimeters wide, and I've basically just bent it round in the vise. And what I should do is probably put some rubber inside here between the barrel and the steel to cushion it, to take any rattle and thumping out of it. Just examining how some of my welds are holding up, and they seem to be okay. This piece of rubber here is because I've had a ratchet strap down over the top of here and strapped down onto the trails. That is just some cloth wrapped around and then some green gaffer tape wound over the cloth to protect the paintwork on the trails, so this can easily be removed and it's not harmed my paintwork, because I've had a block of wood mounted right across here, and that's been strapped down there, and then a ratchet strap from the trail up and over the barrel to the trail on the other side. So I've basically been clamping it down against the block of wood while I've been towing it. Okay, length of the trails. Okay, I'm going to measure the length of the trail right from the front edge there all the way back to the very rear of the spade. Okay, so you can see that the metal here actually projects out over the load bearing member here, and the hole is actually drilled through this plate which I've welded on the top, and it's drilled through approximately 3 centimeters in from the end of the metal, and these are 16mm high tensile bolts which are around 10 centimeters long, thereabout, maybe a little bit more. Anyway, so I'm going to measure the length of this. Okay, so this measures approximately 230, let's see if I can get 36 centimeters right to the rear end of the spade there. 236 centimeters. Now you can see from this picture I'm giving you some scale on the other components which I've welded on, with that tape measure running across it. Okay, so that's giving you a fairly decent idea of how all the parts should look with some scale against it. Okay, are there any other points that you need measuring before I strip this down? Yeah, I think the actual length of the load bearing member, which the trails are bolted into, you could probably do with a length on this from that point there to the same point there on the other side. So let's see if I can work that out for you. Right, that is 86 centimeters long. 86 centimeters. Now, the points between the two trail mountings. Okay, let's give you that while I'm at it. That is 50 centimeters. 50 centimeters between bolt centers. So between that one and the one on the other side, 50 centimeters. 50. 500 millimeters. Obviously, the mounting for the gun traverse is right smack between them, so it's all even. Now, these little plates here, they are 1-inch flat bar, which is 10 millimeters thick, 1 centimeter thick, and let's see what length they are. They are 12 centimeters long. So that's 25 millimeters by 1 centimeter that way by 12 centimeters. Now this plate here, this piece of like mid shield, let's see if I can spin this camera around a little bit. The mid shield point here, these are identical on both sides. I can unscrew these two bolts here, and this one would fit on the other side. It's a mirror image of it. And they are, well, 11 inches, you can see that there, which equates to 20, we'll say it's 28 centimeters. 28 centimeters long. And you can see they're an unusual shape. At its longest length here, they are approximately 16 centimeters. 16 centimeters there. But you know, you can see it's an unusual shape. You'll have to just sort of look at it and work that out. Now you'll notice that my actual traverse mounting has gone loose. There should be a gap approximately about 1 centimeter between this shield and the mid shield there, so that they swing past each other. But you can see the mounting's gone loose, which is why I'm stripping the gun down to try and make that better, make it more solid. Yeah. So I probably don't need to go back on how these parts were made, because I did quite a bit of video right at the start of making this, and I won't say it's a wishbone suspension system, but you know, it's a twin arm suspension system. Now that is the flexator, suspension flexator used on a trailer system. They are 250 kilogram units. So they're the sort of unit which you would find on a motorcycle trailer. They're very light units. If you can find any which are lighter than 250 kilo, it could well be worth you buying them. But these were the smallest units I could get hold of. Now, to take the shield off, I basically take 3 bolts out of the yoke. This is called the yoke, this part. So there's basically a bolt there, which are M10 bolts, and I also have to remove either the bolts here, there, or, as I'm choosing to do, I'm taking the bolts from the yoke, which are mounted into the end of this pipe here. You can see it's already removed and it's actually flexing now. So these are what would you call them, struts, stanchions from the shield back to the yoke. So I've taken those 2 bolts out there, and I've taken the bolt out of here and its corresponding partner over on the other side, just there. And there's 2 more bolts. Officially it's just 1 bolt, which is the one down here. So I've taken the nut off there, and that's now loose. Now the other bolt which I mentioned is this gadget here, which runs through that hole. Now it's not as such a fixing bolt, it's the dummy traverse operating arm for the gearbox on the front. There's the dummy gearbox. So basically that fits through and appears at the front there. Yeah. So I'm going to be stripping that down next, and I'll show you another important thing about what you can do once you've made the shield, how you can work out the geometry for making the yoke. Right. That slides off like that. So you can now get a good picture of how this looks without the shield mounted across. If I take the traverse lock off on this by winding the wing nut down, as you probably remember from the previous video, that's the traverse lock off. Now this now will swing left and right like so. So you now get a bit of a view of the various parts and how they should look, by my opinion anyway. Look at that, the wind's actually just blowing that around. Shows you I've got bearings in this thing. Yeah, the wind catches it and just blows it. Now, yeah, any other dimensions that I need to bring into, yeah, okay, let's have a look at this. You'll probably want to know the length of this pipe here. So let's give you a measurement of that. Well, that wind's particularly strong today. Right, I've set that, which is, you know, you could call that 12 inches, couldn't you? I've actually set it at 31 centimeters in length, but I haven't got a real gun to compare this with. I've just worked from a number of photographs and tried to work out the best looking dimension for the job. Right at the start I said I could have gone and bought a small scaled model kit of one of these, but as I've said to people, they're about £50 if I remember right. Now I'd rather spend that £50 on stuff to actually make the gun rather than buying a plastic kit, and I think I've got a reasonable enough approximation of how the gun should look without wasting money on a model kit. There's your suspension parts, collecting a bit of water, but I've put plenty of paint on, so they should be okay. Now the part which is probably going to interest people a lot is the yoke, so I'm giving you a good look at the yoke here. So you can see how the yoke is made. I'm going to put a steel rule in shot so that you can see some dimensions on this. So you can see the rule is sat there and it finishes off just there at about 20, we'll say it's 20.5 centimeters. So so that's what, 205 millimeters, and let's see what else have we got. Give you a measurement across here like that. Now that, looking at the measure upside down, is 16.5 centimeters to that point there. So that point there to there, 16.5. Then this piece of tubing here, now I think from what I can remember that's a piece of scaffold piping or something similar, and that's 50 millimeters diameter, and then it's just got a washer welded on it top and bottom, and a long piece of M12 studding running all the way through it. Now at the bottom I've welded it. I've just poked it down through the bottom and then welded it solid at the bottom to the bottom washer, and it's all just for show. It doesn't actually do any function. It's just got that stud running through and then a nut tightened down at the top. So you can see how this looks. is just on 45mm long. 45mm. And there's another measurement for you. So you can put some scale to the pictures now. Again, this is 6 centimeters across. Now, the way you can work these out, I will show you now how I worked out how this should look, and I think I've got it approximately correct. Now, if you cut the shield out first, you can work out the dimensions for the yoke by using the shield. Now, I've got a piece of cardboard which I used when I first made this. One moment. Okay, this piece of cardboard is my yoke profile, and you can see that's basically it. It's just a piece of scrap cardboard, and the yoke, the two sides of the yoke are different. The larger side should look like this, and the other side has the front edge cut away. So along where that black line is, where that's folded, that produces the other side of it. So if we look at the yoke again with the camera, you can see this is the side with the yoke cut down. See? Now if we go around the other side of it, on this side, the yoke projects out through the front of the shield. So it's longer. See that? So it's longer. Now the way I work this out, or certainly one of the better ways of working this out, is by first cutting your shield out, because this is mounted at right angles to the shield. Now for the moment, ignore this little part here, because that actually projects out past the base of the shield. So if we were to look at it like so and lay this up against our shield, we get a look something like that. Sorry if this is not working out quite as easy to explain as I hope, but basically this will be mounted at right angles to the rear of the shield, coming out like so. So if you first make a shield using the dimensions I've given you, you can then work this yoke out by looking at it. Yeah. This piece at the bottom here, which I've folded, if I remember right, is 4 centimeters deep. Yeah, 4 centimeters. Now that 4 centimeter part is the base of the yoke with the bearings fitted in it. That's the depth of the base of it. So as I say, that's a way you can work out how this should look. If you make your shield, then you cut this yoke out, and then in cardboard, and then position it like so, and you'll get an idea of how it all should work. Bear in mind that over on the other side of this shield here, up here on the back, there is a toolbox mounted. I think that's in view. Over here there'll be a toolbox mounted. So the two struts which are mounted to this to the yoke and come back, they connect against these bolt points here and here. Yeah. So that leaves us with that distance there to mount our toolbox, and that on mine gives me approximately 16 centimeters above that mounting point to fit a toolbox. But bear in mind the toolbox goes over on the other side of the shield on the rear. So they're both 16 centimeters, those bolt positions, 16 centimeters down. And while I'm at it, I suppose you want to know how far in those bolts are. Okay, on mine they are 10.5 centimeters. No, I'll tell a lie, they are 11 centimeters. But anywhere in that region is quite perfect. Yeah, so that's how I work this thing out. But what I'll probably do is I'll put a photograph with a link so that you can go and take some dimensions off this in more info against the video. I'll put a JPEG photo so that you can copy this and take all the hard work out. Okay, I think that's the end of this video.